Hello everyone, my name's Nisha and I am the YogicAmnesiac. I've been feeling super low energy these past few days, so today I've been really needing something to really kick it up a notch, so we're going to be doing a bit more of an energizing, effortful practice today. None of these poses should necessarily leave you feeling sore unless you're a complete novice, but it's not necessarily going to be easy the whole time either, unless you're more experienced with yoga. So let's have some fun with it. Don't forget to smile and laugh since this is an energizing practice, and let's get to it. So today we're going to start standing in Tadasana. Get your feet about hip width apart, which I like to remind people that doesn't mean the outer edge of your hips. It means as if your bones were coming straight out of the center of your hips. So think more and from a skeletal perspective than where your physical outside of your leg might look like it's lining up. Make sure your weight's evenly distributed on your feet. You're not collapsing into your ankles. Stand up nice and tall. Your core should be doing a little bit of work every time you're standing. Roll the shoulders back. Get that head nice and level. Relax the hands in here now. If you want to bring your hands up to the chest at prayer pose or in a prayer position, you can. I'm very fidgety at first. When I first start doing Tadasana, it always takes me forever to find my alignment. You can close your eyes here if that's going to help you energize yourself a little bit, or if you want to relax more. Really focus here though. Keep everything strong. Really push into the ground. I know it can sound really weird to say that, but really think about pushing your feet into the ground, pushing your body up tall. You might even think you're reaching your head towards the ceiling or the sky. We want this to be active. We want our bodies to be creating a little bit of energy, a little bit of warmth. Take some nice deep breaths here. Push your palms into each other if your hands are here maybe, to get your arms to do a little bit of work. Don't just hold them there. Get your shoulders engaged to keep your palms together. Now release the hands and sweep them all the way up. Really put effort into them as you bring them up. You can do it nice and slow. Reach up with your hands. Look straight up. My hands are not touching. I know the video might be cutting them off, but they're not touching. I just have them going straight up towards the ceiling, looking up a little bit. You can even think about, saying hello to the sky or to the day. Especially if you're doing this during the morning. Might be nice. Good morning, world. Now float those arms back down and then scoop them up one more time. And you can bring your palms together up there. And if you'd like, you can interlace your fingers with your fingers pointed up. And lean over to this right side. This is a very active side stretch. So rather than doing a seated side stretch, we're doing this standing one to really put a little bit of effort into it. Same thing here, keeping those feet stable, weight equal on both feet. Excuse me. Just because I'm leaning to the right doesn't mean all my weight is in my right foot. I have equal weight in my left foot. Think about keeping your shoulders stacked over one another. And then inhale and come back up. Again, reaching up. We're not bringing the shoulders to the ears. We're more thinking about reaching up with just the arms. You can even think about lengthening the torso, lifting your entire rib cage up, not just the front. If you're lifting your rib cage, think about lifting the whole thing. And then lean over to the other side, the left side here. Same thing. Equal weight in both feet. Keeping those shoulders one over the other. Really stretch here, really reach with those arms. Get a nice stretch, wake up the body. Tell your body it's time to go. And come on up. Release your arms, shake them out a little bit. And we're really gonna jump right into things and get going. I find that really helps me get energized. So we're gonna step our feet apart here. And if you have a block, now might be a good time to grab it. We'll be needing it really soon. If you don't have a block, don't worry about it. You can use the floor, you can use your shin or your calf. I'll show you how to do that as well if you don't have a block. So don't worry if you don't have a block. So your feet are now nice and wide. This is going to vary from person to person where you like your feet. My mother's a really big fan of putting her arms out and having her ankles below her wrists. I can't gauge that distance very well, and I always feel like I end up with my legs a little bit wider than when I start. So play with it, find what you think feels good. Okay, so turn those right toes to point the short edge of your mat. Keep your pelvis, your hips, facing forward to the best of your ability. Obviously, we all have different limitations here. Don't lock your knees. And as you bend this front right knee, send your arms out nice and long and look past those right fingertips. And we're in Warrior Two. This is always where I take a moment to think, do I feel like my legs could be farther apart? And I might scoot one leg back, one leg forward. Sink a little bit farther down. While you're in this pose, check in with your knee that's bent. Make sure it's not going past, I should move this. Make sure it's not going past or in front of your right ankle. Check in with this back knee. Make sure this knee is not locked. It's not bent either, but you have to find that nice soft straight leg without locking it. Think about keeping everything aligned forward, again, to the best of your ability. Keep those arms nice and straight and really reach out with those arms. Make an active effort. They're not just there, they're reaching to the best as far as they can. Sink a little bit deeper, really push in. Trust your feet here, trust the ground. Take a few deep breaths here. Stand up nice and tall. Really use those legs. Now bend the right elbow, place it on the right thigh, flip the left arm over and bring it up and overhead into extended side angle. Same thing here, look down. Check out this right knee or whichever knee you have in front. Make sure it's not going past your right ankle. You want them either stacked on top of each other or even have that right knee a little bit behind. This is like any other side stretch where we would want the left shoulder over the right shoulder. We're not letting it rotate forward. We're still trying to keep our hips facing the long edge of the mat like we had before. Of course, as you hinge your body over, you might find this right hip just wants to go back. And if it's hurting you to bring it forward, that's your body's way of saying it can't do it. Or if your knee is swinging forward, it's your body's way of saying that it can't do it. And if your body can't do it, there's nothing wrong with that. Just do it as much as you can. Think about it more from like, what are my muscles doing as opposed to what do I look like? Take some deep breaths here. Bring that left arm out, bring the right arm up into Warrior Two. Straighten the leg, drop the arms. Now if you have a block, you can grab the block, place it by your ankle or just behind your ankle, somewhere in this area. I'll show you first how to do this pose without a block, but if you do have a block, your hand's just going to go straight to it. So we're doing triangle here, or Triksanasana. So we send the arms out long, except both of our knees are straight here, but they're not locked. It's really easy to let yourself lock your knees in these poses, so be mindful of that. So from here, arms out nice and long and hinge at the hips. It's really first your hips go. I almost try to keep my body up straight as long as I can. Let those hips hinge, sending your body to the right. And place your hand on your shin, your thigh, the ground if you can reach and still keep that integrity. Avoid placing your hand on your knee. It can put stress on your knee and your knee doesn't always like it. This is why it's nice to have a block though. You get nice support. It's a little bit easier, I find, to support yourself on a block as opposed to your leg. I find I always am putting stress on my knee, no matter how I do this pose, if I have my hand on my knee or leg at all, anywhere on my leg. So really breathe here. Really reach up with that left arm. Be mindful it's not coming back. You don't want it behind you. You want it over you. If you have a shoulder injury and you might or tight shoulders, you might need to bring your arm down a little bit. That's okay. But you want to be in a straight line. Think that your body's squished between two walls, almost, or there's two glass panes that you're squeezing yourself between, holding you up straight. Again, our knees are not locked. They're not bent either, though. Really put effort in. Keep your body up. And then to come out, bend that right knee. Bring those arms up into Warrior Two. Straighten the right leg, drop the arms, and bring those right toes forward. Now is a really good time to step the feet together. Take a quick break, shake it all out. Your feet might be a little tired, your ankles might be a little tired. So if you want to take a quick break, take a quick breather, you can totally step your feet together and breathe for a second. Check in, see how you're feeling. Of course, do that throughout the whole practice in every pose you do. So when you're ready, again, we're going to step our feet out wide. Try to do the same distance again that you did last time. I generally do the same distance and then have to walk my feet out every single time I do this. I don't know why. So our legs are wide, toes pointed to the short edge of the mat. And we're going to do the same thing here. Bend that front leg. Now you can check where your alignment is if you want to separate your legs farther, bring them closer together even. Knees not past the ankles. Send those arms out nice and long and look past those left fingertips. Again, check in with your hips. Are they trying to collapse and face the short edge of your mat? You want them to be open. Obviously not dragging this left knee. Ooh, did you hear that crack? Obviously not dragging this left knee forward or towards the long edge of your mat, but just as flat as you can get them. Your bones will eventually stop you and you just can't get them any flatter. So if you are like, why can't I go any farther? That's probably why. Might be tight hips also. There are all sorts of factors, but that's a really big one, is that your bones just won't let you. And there's nothing wrong with you. Okay, so your knee is not past that ankle. It can be behind it a little bit. Arms are out really strong, really grounding into the ground, grounding into the ground. Push your feet into the ground. Look past those left fingertips. Push out with those arms, reach. You're trying to grab something out there almost. If it would help you to think, oh, I'm trying to grab something, you can do that. It might also help to think you're like shooting lasers out of your hands. There's all sorts of imagery. Find what works for you. Stand up nice and tall. Keep breathing here. This pose is not as easy as people think it is. Check in with this back knee. Make sure it's not locked. It's soft. There's blood flowing all the way through that leg. Smile here. Laugh a little if you're feeling kind of goofy. Have a good time. Maybe you're working up a little bit of a sweat. It's super hot here right now, so I'm totally sweating already. All right, bend this left elbow, flip the right arm, bring it up and overhead into extended side angle. Same thing, reaching here. You could think like you're trying to pick an apple or something. Try not to fall over like I did. But really reach up with that arm. You want to think of a nice straight line all the way from your little toe of that right foot all the way up that right arm. Wiggle those toes if you think that they are gripping into the floor. Breathe here. Check in with your knees. Check in with your alignment. It's okay if your legs are getting tired or if you're shaking. And then inhale, coming up through Warrior Two, straighten the leg, drop the arms, shake the arms out. And we're going to come into triangle again. So you have the same option if you don't have a block to put your hand on your shin or your thigh or the floor. Lots of options. Woo. So go where you need to if you have a block. I think blocks are a great tool until you can reach the floor. So send those arms out nice and long. Hinge at the hips. That's the best way I can think of describing it. If anyone else knows good ways, let me know. So hinge at the hips. Left arm to the block. Right arm up and overhead. We come into triangle pose or Trikonasana. Really reach up with that right arm. You're trying to pick a different apple this time. Really push into those feet. Think about your Tadasana feet. Where are you pushing on in when you're doing Tadasana? Your weight should be in the same places in this pose. Keep the arches of your feet a little bit lifted if you need to, if you feel like you're collapsing. Keep that arm up, reaching up, straight up. As straight as you can get it. Obviously, if you can't get it straight, don't worry about it. Keep that whole body facing the long edge of your mat. Really put effort into this. For some people, thinking like energy is flowing up through the ground, through your body, out your fingertips, or up through down through your fingertips all the way to your toes can help. Make you feel a little bit more energy or whatever, more awake. All right, bend that left knee, bring those arms up into Warrior Two, straighten the legs, drop the arms, lock those feet together, and shake it out. We're gonna move the block to the side now, and we're gonna stretch out our arms a little bit now that we've worked them and they need a little bit of a break probably. And in fact, your feet probably even need a break as well. So let's sweep those arms up and overhead. Swan dive down into a forward fold. Really bend the knees here. I'll turn so you can see. Really get a nice deep bend. Actually, everyone should turn to face the short edge of their mat if you're not already. So get that nice bend. Come up into a flat back position. Stretch out the legs a little bit. Come into a soft forward fold. Plant the hands, walk the feet back, and come into a downward facing dog. Think about, pushing that chest forward, getting your arms nice and long, stretching out your shoulders. Maybe walk the dog, as some people say. Move with it. We just did a bunch of poses where we were super still, so I think that now we should move a little bit, get some movement in our bodies. All right, really push. Make these last couple breaths count here. And then come on, set those knees down, send those toes flat behind you, and come into Virasana. And if you've watched my videos before, you know I'm totally okay with you switching up your seated position if this is uncomfortable for you. We're just doing arm stretches, so it honestly does not matter how you're sitting. Alrighty, so send that right arm out long to the side. Start bringing it in front of you. Hook that left arm across around your right arm and use it to pull that right arm in front of you and stretch out your shoulder a little bit. Take some nice deep breaths. Just get a nice gentle stretch here though. Don't worry about much. Release that right arm. Same thing with left arm, out straight to the side. Start bringing it in front of you, hook the right arm, and slowly pull that arm to the left. Ooh, excuse me. Breathe here. If you worked up a little bit of a sweat or your heart beats up, you can let it relax now, but try to keep that same level of integrity, that effort in all of your poses of sitting up nice and tall. All of your muscles are trying to do a little bit of work. You don't need to be tense, but you're working. And release down. We're going to release the legs from under us. Send them out wide. We just did a forward fold with our legs together, so I'm not going to do one of those on the ground. But if you feel like you need a little bit more of that, totally do that. But since we really used the legs, I really want to stretch them out a little bit too. Get some blood still flowing to them. Keep the blood flowing all the way to your feet too, since they did work. So sit up nice and tall. Try to think about tilting your hips forward. I have super tight hamstrings, so this is always a challenge for me. Really lift up through the chest. Sit tall and push yourself forward. And then you can relax forward as you get closer to the ground. Move a little bit, keep some movement going. Flex these feet. Get some engagement in your practice. I say keep moving just because I want you to keep a little bit of blood flow, and because we were so stagnant in those poses that it can feel good to keep moving and don't lose that energy we worked up or all that effort we had. Inhale, come on up nice and tall, and then exhale, come forward again. Maybe you can come down even lower. I'm definitely getting lower and lower to the ground every day, and that makes me very happy. Come on up, face that right leg, and we'll do a quick stretch to the right leg. Both of our feet are still flexed, they're both active. Roll on up, switch to the left side, come forward. Another quick stretch here. Again, roll on up. This time bend the knees, bring the feet together. Sit up nice and tall, roll the shoulders back. And come forward a little bit more. And a flat back, as flat as you can. And then relax forward. This is a good time to point out, you probably notice I can barely come down in a forward fold with my legs together or with my legs apart, a wide-legged forward fold. But in this pose, I can, set my forehead all the way on the ground. So it's a good illustration of how everyone's bodies are different, and even if you're super flexible one way, you might be dealing with something else. So definitely a good point is to not compare yourself to others. All right, push on up. We're going to put a little bit more effort into our practice here, just a little bit, not much, and then we'll finish on up. So from here, we're going to come onto all fours, tuck the toes underneath, lift those knees, and come back into downward facing dog. Again, you can move around a little bit. Oh my gosh, my shoulder just popped. My whole body is popping today. So move around a little bit. Get comfy with it. And then lift that right leg up. If you can do the splits here, you can absolutely do that. I cannot. Like I said, I have tight hamstrings. Bring that leg all the way up. And I really encourage you to try to just sweep it up without setting it on the ground. But if you can't do that, don't worry about it. You can scoot it all the way up here. And we're going to come into pigeon pose. So release those back toes. And this pose can be super weird if you have tight hips. So, I have seen many an alternate version or modification. If this hip for you is way up here and you're feeling a stretch here but you can't relax into it, take your block or a pillow or a blanket, set it down under there, and you can sit down. You might still be putting in a little bit of effort, but it will help relieve some of the strain and stress that your muscles are putting in here. But do that. Come up. I like to sit up nice and tall first, but you do have a very severe arch in your low back, so be mindful of that. And I'm just thinking about being up straight, not trying to stretch my low back out here. And then relax forward. And this pose can be super advanced. So if you're still working on it, if you can't really move your upper body forward and back, don't worry about it. It'll come to you one day. One day you'll probably be using your block and you'll think, I don't need this block anymore, and next thing you know, your butt will be on the ground. But I love this pose. This is my favorite yoga pose. Push on up one more time. Look up if you can. Try to get a little bit of a stretch in your back here. Really gentle stretch though. Then from here we're going to look down. We're going to push our arms into the ground, tuck our back toes. Really use the core, really use the arms and shoulders here to lift that back knee up. Lift the leg up, your right leg. Send it all the way up and then set it back down to meet your left foot. Oh, my braid keeps getting in the way. Okay, so take a moment here to check your alignment in your downward facing dog. I always get a little bit screwy whenever I do this. Alright, now we're going to send that left leg up nice and high, and then bring it all the way forward. This is actually, you can do little ab things where you just bring your knee to your chest, but bring it all the way forward today. Set it on down, release those back toes. Same thing here, if you are struggling to get your butt on the ground, grab a block, book, blanket, pillow, anything, shove it up under that butt cheek, and let it give you a little bit of support. This stretches out a lot of different places in your body. It probably stretches out something different in every single person too. But think nice and tall here. I'm not trying to get a back stretch right now. I'm just trying to push myself up kind of straight and relax a little bit, but also loosen myself up. And then come on forward, relax forward. Take some deep breaths here. Move around a little bit. You may have noticed I keep moving. It's probably easier to see on this side that I kind of wiggle my butt back and forth. It feels super good to me. Alright, push into those hands, come on up if you can. And we're going to look up and arch the back a little bit, really gentle. Look at the sky. There's a full pose that involves this, and we are not going to do it today. Unless you know which pose that is and you can do it, absolutely go there, but I'm not going to teach it in this video. We will do it some other time maybe, but not today. Look up. Get that nice long stretch in. Really make it count. And then from here, really come forward and then push into those arms, tuck those right toes under, use all your muscles again. Lift up that right knee, lift the whole leg up, send it on back, up high, three-legged dog. Set it down, check out your alignment here, and we're going to end this a little bit differently. Usually I like to end everything in Shavasana, but not today. We're going to mix it up. So look forward and step one leg forward and then the other. And I will turn to face you. And really keep your knees nice and bent here for a second. Come on up into a flat back position. We were just upside down quite a bit. Downward dog. Dog is actually a type of inversion. So I'm kind of trying not to jar us all. Let our blood return to normal. Relax forward into Uttanasana. And then slowly as you inhale, roll on up. Straighten those legs, bring those arms up. Then reach up to the sky, close the eyes. Let your blood return to its normal equilibrium. You might feel a little bit funky for a second, but it should pass. Inhale, exhale here. Inhale one more time, and then exhale, bring your palms together, sweep them down and bring them to your sternum or your heart. Take a few deep breaths here. And we really put a lot of effort into our Tadasana at the beginning. This is Tadasana again, but you don't have to put quite as much effort into it now that we're here. And this is where I'm going to end our practice for today.